Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for joining me for this. We started doing this a year ago. You'd think we would have figured it out 30 years ago when I started the company. But I think it was COVID that made me, we've always done video stuff. We've been doing the live TAXITVs every Monday for 13 or 14 years now, ahead of the curve on that. But we realized there are a lot of things that Taxi members learn along the way from other members, from coming to the road rally, from watching Taxi TV, from reading the newsletter. And one day it occurred to me, gee, wouldn't it be awesome if we taught people these things up front so that they could, get more traction more quickly rather than learning it in little dribs and drabs along the way. And then they get to the end of the first year and they go, oh man, it didn't really pan out for me. Well, maybe it would have panned out sooner if they'd learned this stuff. So here we are. And I can guarantee you guys that everybody that's here tonight really has a better chance of being successful than other people who joined in the last 30 days and aren't watching this. We've gotten that much good feedback from the people who've watched it. By the way, I've never done this in public before, but see my green tongue? I just ate a cough drop. It was the kind that had some numbing stuff in it, like Krippaehne. So my lips feel fat, my tongue feels fat, and my tongue is green. So if I sound like I'm drunk and look like a lizard tonight, now you know why. Anyway, given the time, the patience, and productivity, virtually anybody can be successful. I know that we're all trained as artists and creators that if you're the best creator, the best artist, the best composer, the best songwriter, and you create brilliant work, people will recognize it and you'll, climb the ladder and be successful. Honestly, I know a lot of Taxi members who, frankly, and I don't mean this to slight them in any way, but they're just not accomplished. Well, I can't say that's a bad choice of words. They're not brilliant composers, yet they're making a six-figure income. And the reason is because they're creating music that's usable, that people need, that works in the context of film or television. There might be other composers who are just more naturally gifted or have been doing it longer and they're better. But the people who make the right choices about what they make and what they pitch are the people that seem to be the most successful. So if you're the kind of person who thinks, well, yeah, I paid Taxi $300. I'm joining Taxi, and now I'm going to send in that CD I recorded 8 years ago and printed up 2,500 copies, of which I still have 2,385 left in boxes in my garage. I'm going to give it one more shot, and I'm just going to pitch that stuff in that CD to Taxi. Somebody will recognize what a brilliant artist I am, and I'll get signed. And they pitch the same 2 or 3 or 4 songs over and over and over again for listings that just aren't right. Any objective person would look at the listing and listen to the music and go, that's not right. Why did you send that in? And then they get pissed off at Taxi and say, oh, Taxi, you didn't really pan out for me. Well, it's because you weren't using it correctly. It's kind of like a gym. If we can all join a gym, but we don't all go to the gym. I'm living proof. We have had some exceptions over the years where people did get lucky right out of the gate. But, hang on a second, I'm muting my phone. Trying to mute my phone. Angel, I'm in the middle of a Zoom. Now I can mute my phone. Sorry about that. And I didn't listen to you, Ariana, when you said mute your cell phone, so now I'm muting my cell phone and I am good to go. Anyway, we've had a few people that have become lucky, and maybe they were like ready for the moment, I guess, when they joined Taxi. And maybe the first or second thing they submitted happened to get forwarded, and it got forwarded to somebody that used it in a TV show. But I don't want anybody to think that that's what we're selling around here, because we're not. We're not selling dreams. You guys already have the dream. We're selling the toolbox and the road to get you there, So just work hard and stick with it, and don't expect miracles, because miracles do happen, but not that often in the music industry. I want to give a shout out to our staff. People call here all the time and go, oh my God, I can't believe I got a human being on the phone. I can actually talk to a person that'll spend 15 minutes with me and answer all my questions. That is the standard at Taxi. It's been that way for almost 31 years. You will never get a, press one for this, press two for that. You will always get a live human being. Sometimes I cringe a little, to be honest. I walk by staff members and I can tell it's, one of our guys is very chatty, but he's great on the phone, and he'll spend 45 minutes on the phone with a member. Companies don't do that anymore, but we do. And it really shows, because people like working here, number one, and people like being Taxi members because of the way they're treated. So just know that you will always get a real live human being on the phone. Okay, my first tip. This one is so unbelievably important, and so many people don't even know about this. Virtually everybody nowadays seems to have music that they have put out there for distribution through CD Baby, through TuneCore, or maybe they signed up for Songtrust to monetize, do the publishing admin for them. It's really easy, and none of these companies are doing anything illegal or untoward or scammy or anything. But what happens is people come up with a new batch of instrumental cues or a bunch of new songs that maybe they put on an album, maybe they didn't, and they distribute it through CD Baby or TuneCore, whomever. Again, none of these companies are doing anything wrong, but the musicians don't read the fine print. They get very excited when they see the paragraph that says, "Would you like us to monetize that music for you?" Why, yes, I would. So if somebody stumbles upon my music, on Spotify or YouTube or wherever, and they would like to license it for a movie, which, come on, let's face it, how many times is your music going to be stumbled upon, with 100 billion pieces of music out there? But they check that little box and they sign up for the pro level thing. Well, they don't realize what they did was they just signed a publishing deal. They literally assigned their publishing rights to that entity. Again, those companies are doing nothing wrong, but those same people will join Taxi a week later, a year later, 3 years later, and not even remember that they checked the box and signed up for that service. Don't panic. If you signed up like with CD Baby just for the distribution part to get your music on Spotify and Pandora, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that's fine. That will not collide with you pitching music to other publishers through Taxi. But if you check the box for, I think it's called CD Baby Pro, or any of those things where you have signed either a publishing administration deal or a publishing deal, and then you were to pitch that to a Taxi listing that says, production music library looking for quirky accordion music. And you submit that same thing, and we listen to it and go, wow, that's really good quirky accordion music. I could absolutely hear that being used in a reality TV show. We forward it to the publisher. They listen to it and go, yay, Taxi, you sent us something really good here. And then they Google the composer, the artist, and read about them a little bit, and then they see if they can find any of their other music online, and they check it out and go, wow, this is somebody we should probably be working with. And then they reach out to the composer and go, so how much of this stuff do you have? I've got like 35 accordion pieces, and by the way, I do other stuff as well. I do dramedy cues, I do trailer orchestrals. That's great. Well, we're interested. Send us all that stuff. We'll have a listen to it. And they sit there and they listen to it, and now you got a relationship building. And then that moment comes where they realize, dude or dudette, you don't realize it, but you're already published. You signed a publishing deal, a legitimate, regular, full-on publishing deal when you checked that box for somebody to monetize your music. And so now the publisher is like, I am never talking to that person again as long as I live. They just wasted 6 hours of my precious time that I could have been out there pitching music and making money for our composers and myself. And I spent all this time doing the due diligence because that person either didn't understand that they signed a publishing deal by checking that box, or they thought that they were so talented that somebody would just overlook it. That'll never happen. You can't have two publishers, kind of like you can't have two spouses, You can't have two husbands or two wives. Well, in most cases you can't. I don't know, there's some funny parts of the country or other countries where maybe you can, but it doesn't work that way in the publishing world, at least not in the production music library world. So yeah, don't commit bigamy. Do not commit musical bigamy by signing with one publisher and then pitching to another. All right, enough about that. So, what can you do to dramatically increase your chances of having success? Well, if it's like me in the gym, just showing up and actually walking through the door would increase my chances. In your case, it's opening your email. I know it's like every day there's an email from Taxi, yada, 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 yada. Oh my God, they're flooding my email box. We're flooding your email box with opportunities. So take advantage of them. You're paying for them. Where else are you going to find more than 1,000, probably more like 1,200 opportunities a year for your music? Even if you're somebody who does kind of a narrow, got a narrow lane of music, you're probably still going to have at least several, if not a couple handfuls a month that will apply to what you do. And that's far more than you've got previously, before you joined Taxi. So take advantage of it. You've paid for it, and you'll be shocked because nothing will happen if you don't read the listings. And if you don't read the listings and submit music in response to them, can absolutely guarantee you nothing is going to happen. Then you're going to get to the end of the year and go, well, that was a waste. Well, you let it be a waste. Don't let that happen. So people will say to us, why can't I get listings in just my genre, Michael? I only do country music, yet I see listings for orchestral trailers. I see listings for twangy this or upbeat that or whatever, and I get all these different listings. The reason is because people don't realize sometimes that, yeah, you write country songs and you got Pro Tools or Logic and you make your own tracks. You play acoustic guitar, you can play a slide dobro, you can play bass, you can play electric, you can program drums. Even if all you could do was strum an open G chord, just, do a 1-4-5 in G on an acoustic guitar and then overdub a bottleneck slide, that's enough to do a cue, an instrumental cue, a 90-second instrumental cue for a show like, I don't know, Duck Dynasty or something that needs whap, 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 whap. You're a composer, yay. So even though you're a country songwriter, you don't need to, write a lyric, which is really hard. You don't need to sing a great vocal, which is really hard. You don't need to put any background vocals in, which not as hard, but hard and time consuming. So that's why we want you to look at everything, because maybe the light will go on and go, yeah, well, I joined Taxi to submit country songs to get pitched artists in Nashville, but I could be making a little money on the side by getting these, what I affectionately call stupid little instrumental cues into reality TV shows, We've got members that are making $100,000, $200,000 in, I think it was 2016 or 2018. One of the Taxi members that I consider to be a friend because I've known him for so many years now, the guy told me he was making 200, I think it was either 260 or 280 a year. And I said, on what? He goes, instrumental cues. So, $280,000 a year for wham, 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 90 seconds. Not a bad gig. You're not going to write one cue, have it land in a big TV show and get a big bucket of money. It's a penny business. You're going to make $1 here, $3 there, 62 cents here. But it adds up over time, becomes cumulative. The more tracks you make, the more you get signed, the more they get out to a bunch of different libraries, and you do want to be in a lot of different catalogs, the more chances you have. So that's why we want you to see all those emails. So, and if you're not getting the listings, check your promotions folder, and if it's not in there, check your spam folder. And if you don't see it somewhere in there, please let us know. Call our number and say, I am not getting the listings I paid for. Sometimes they'll even restart your membership. We've had people that didn't bother to look until a month after they started. Oh, look at that. I'm not getting your emails. That's because they typed in their email address wrong the day they signed up. But we'll probably restart your membership for you. Another trick of the trade that seems so obvious, yet so few people do it, is read the listings carefully. People will see a listing that says looking for country hits with a female vocal, and then there's more description after that might say they're looking for wholesome, family-oriented, hometown, kind of stuff. Familial relationships, not love relationships. They'll get pretty specific about what they're looking for because maybe that artist doesn't want to talk about relationships because they just went through a divorce. Maybe they're just really into the hometown vibe right now, and that's the kind of stuff they want to cut. But people just read that first 3/4 of a sentence and see country hits for a female artist. And they go, I got all kinds of stuff that are great, that are country for female. And then they pitch it, and the stuff doesn't get forwarded because it's about you broke my heart or you cheated on me or whatever, and it's not what they need for that artist on that label. Therefore we can't forward it, and then the member gets really ticked off at Taxi. I sent you guys a great song, country, female, and you didn't forward it. You're right, it was a great song, but we can't send them a great song that isn't what they need. And now it's time for my famous shoe story. I sold shoes. When I was 14 years old, my parents owned a little store in a little farm town in central Illinois. And when I was like 14, maybe 15 years old, the shoe lady was out one summer. She had some surgery. So my dad said to me, guess what? You're managing the shoe department. Woohoo! So if a lady came in and needed a Potassois pump with a 3.5-inch heel that was 7.5B in beige, and I brought out a men's 9.5D Bass Weejan penny loafer. It's like all of a sudden people are smiling. Everybody smiles at that. It's like, it's obvious. This lady is not going to want the 9.5D Cordovan Bass Weejan men's penny loafer. It's a shoe. It's a really nice shoe, but it's not the shoe that this young lady needs to wear with her bridesmaid dress at the wedding on Sunday. So it's a great shoe, but it's worthless to her. Same thing is true in the music industry. If somebody asks for something specific, which is the whole premise that Taxi is founded under, why would you want to give them something else? I think people have this secret deep down desire where they think, my music is so good that it doesn't matter what they need. It doesn't matter that Faith Hill only cuts this kind of song, or it doesn't matter that they need spooky instrumental music for this scene. It doesn't matter if I'm off base for what they're asking for because I'm just that good that they're going to hear it and they're going to say, Faith, you need to cut this song, even though it's something you would never work with before and have no desire to cut. Or this music isn't spooky, but it's so good, we're going to rewrite the scene and reshoot it just because we want that little piece of instrumental music in there because it's so darn good. I mean, all that stuff sounds unrealistic when you say it out loud. Yet people submit music 80% of the time that people don't get forwarded at Taxi. This is absolute truth. 80% of the time they don't get forwarded, it's because they sent in stuff that's not what was being asked for. It's not about being a musical genius. It's not about being the very best. I'm going to be so strong that people will just recognize it. No, it's about the right pitch. Let's put it in terms of relationships. You're not going to fall in love with somebody if there's no physical attraction to ignite the spark in the beginning, right? Maybe it's somebody's eyes, maybe it's their hair, who knows? Whatever. There's something that attracts you till you get to know that person deeper. The music industry is the same way. You got to give them what they want, what they're naturally attracted to, and then when they get to know you better, maybe they'll reach out and say, do you also have this? Can you also make one of those? Let the relationship develop. So, another big secret to being successful in pitching through Taxi is listen to the references. Not only should you read the listing like 2 or 3 times, maybe take a highlighter and highlight the salient points in the listing, but also listen to the references. And the vast majority of time, they're not looking for you to copy the references. If they say they're looking for something that's got the same vibe, they love that word vibe, same vibe is the Rolling Stones song Miss You. Listen to Miss You and go, okay, it's kind of a roomy drum sound. The BPMs or whatever, sit there and figure out the BPMs. Sounds like it's got a Telecaster. It's got this kind of attitude. It's major chords, not minor sevenths, whatever. And then listen to the other 2 references and find out where those things line up. They're emotionally similar. The spirit of the song is similar. The key, they're all in a major key. They're all kind of raucous and rock and rolly and old school feeling. Look for the places that they are similar, and those similarities are the things that you should have in your pitch. And now you're thinking, well, what if I don't have anything like that? And I'm going to let you in on another little secret, and that is probably some huge percentage of taxi members that are successful, believe it or not, don't pitch material they've already got. They create music for what the listings ask for. And you're thinking, oh my God, if I see a listing, that's hits my mailbox on September 22nd and it's due on October 14th, there's no way I could get a piece of music kind of written, custom ordered for that request. You actually can. You really can. Again, most of our successful members have figured out how to do that. How did they do it? By failing 20 times, 50 times, 100 times, but they got better and they got faster every time. And they realized that, wow, I now know how to pick my sounds faster. I've organized the sounds that I use over and over again. I've built a template for dramedy cues. I built a template for orchestral trailers. I built a template for pop. All those templates are, stored in your DAW. So when you see a listing that asks for, pop hits a la Ariana Grande, do you need to spend 3 hours looking for the perfect kick drum sound? Nope, already got it. Do you need to spend an hour and a half looking for the perfect bass guitar to go with that kick drum sound? Nope, already got it. So those are all the little tricks of the trade that help successful members become successful and become successful more quickly. So read the listings carefully. Make sure that you're giving them the 7.5B Potoswa pump with the 3.5-inch heel and not the 9.5D Cordovan penny loafer, and you should do fine. Sign up for the Taxi Forum at forums.taxi.com. Forums.taxi.com. I know forums are kind of old school technology and social media is the happening thing, but you know what? Our forums have been around since like 2004. It's like the World Book Encyclopedia of everything you want to know. Like, how many luffs should my levels be at? And frankly, I'm a retired engineer and I've worked at a pretty high level. I don't know what a luff is, quite frankly, because I'm old school. But if I wanted to find the answer to that question, I could find it on the Taxi Forum. If I want to play something, put a listing up on the forum and say, hey, y'all, I'm thinking about submitting this song for this listing or this instrumental cue for that listing. Put it up there. And you're going to get feedback from people that are 6 months ahead of you or 2 years ahead of you or 10 years ahead of you that are successful. And they're going to go, everything about that works, but that synth pad that you've got in there sounds very 1980s and it just doesn't sound right with the rest of the track. And you go, wow, I never noticed that before on my own. Thank you for that advice. You change out the synth pad, put it up there, and they go, now you're happening. And you submit it, you get a forward. There's this weird thing at Taxi. Our members, believe it or not, are not competitive. If you come to our convention, which I better see, now that I've seen all your faces, or most of your faces, the rest of you are hiding behind your names, but you better show up for the Taxi Road Rally, which starts on the evening of November 3rd, goes 4th, 5th, and 6th in Los Angeles. It is the best convention for independent musicians and composers anywhere on the planet Earth. Ask anybody who's been to one, they would tell you that. They would tell you that, well, I'm not going to mention other names of other conventions, but let's just say some of them have tried to exactly copy the Taxi Road Rally, but they don't have the secret sauce. And the secret sauce is exactly what I was talking about a minute ago. For some reason, our members are unbelievably generous and non-competitive. There's this vibe, and I know I'm not Mr. Los Angeles, la, 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 I'm not a woo-woo kind of guy, but there's a vibe among the members, and it's in full force on the Taxi Forum, and it's in full force at the Road Rally, where members, even our most experienced money-making members, will take time and coach and mentor our newer members. So there is no question that looks stupid. There's no person that should feel stupid asking a question. And at some point, you're going to experience their good hearts and their generosity and go, wow, I thought that guy was kind of bullshitting us, but he's really not. So check it out. You will find it to be true. And if you're cynical, then check it out even sooner, because your cynicism will be wiped out and you will go, this company is like freakishly helpful. Another cool way to find out if your music, if you're getting frustrated, and you will, there are days you're going to print out a picture of my face and you're going to put it up on a dartboard and you're going to throw darts at it and go, that guy ripped me off for $300. I can't believe I joined Taxi and nobody's recognized how brilliant I am, and I'm not making any money yet and my stuff's not getting forwarded. I hate Michael Lasko. Go ahead. I can take it. I've had 31 years of practice, got pretty thick skin at this point. But if you want to find out why you're really not getting forwarded, there's an area on the Taxi forum at forums.taxi.com that's called the forward section. It's the first thing at the top of the page. And you can go in there and listen to music from your fellow members that was actually forwarded for certain listings. And you'll go, oh, I get it. I thought mine was great. And mine was great, but it wasn't on target at all. Now I understand. I heard 3 things from other members that got forwarded and go, oh, totally get it. Now I see why they got forwarded and I didn't. And our members tell me time and time and time again that listening to other people's forwards, they thought it would make them envious. Like, my stuff's better than that. I can't believe that dude got forwarded. But what they really find is that they get quite an education, and it becomes patently obvious to them very quickly why they didn't get forwarded. They correct those mistakes, and lo and behold, now they're getting forwarded. Then they're getting deal offers. Then they're getting placements. It all starts with relying on your fellow members. There is a real community of people out there that will actually help you. We also have a thing called the Forward blog, where we post the forwards from every single one of our listings. I don't see Ariana's picture up there. Maybe she's letting her dog out or something. But the Forwards blog, oh, there she comes. Ari, can you please post the link to the Forwards blog in the chat? And I believe it's taxi.com, or no, blog.taxi.com/forwards. And you can listen to stuff that got forwarded, and you'll just go, oh, it's so obvious to me. I can't believe that I didn't see that when I was making this submission. Now, I see what Ari's doing. She's eating. Now you're making me jealous. I'm hungry. The other thing, watch TAXITV. If you think this is helpful, you're going to love TAXITV. Sometimes it's just me yammering away like this. Other times, like we just did one on Monday that was like an open Q&A. People absolutely love the episode. Sometimes I'll have a publisher on. Sometimes I'll have a songwriting coach on. Sometimes I'll have a music attorney on. Whatever it is, honestly, I'm a little surprised, to be quite honest. I never thought that it would be as valuable and kind of beloved as it is, but people love TAXITV. Everybody lives in like this, show it to me in a minute and a half on TikTok, or I'm not going to give you my attention. Well, I'm sorry. You can't explain the difference between a non-exclusive and an exclusive production music library contract in a minute and a half. That is not TikTok material. Don't you want to hear from a music attorney that can explain it really, really well? Yes, you do. So that's why we have 90 minutes. You know what? Rather than watching some crap TV or Seinfeld, even though I love Seinfeld reruns, watch something about the industry you want to be in. It's not just about great music, because even if you've got great music and you've got the right music and it gets in the right people's hands, you can absolutely blow the relationship by doing something goofy. They reach out to you to sign your stuff, and you just act like, oh my God, you're my best friend in the whole world. I got a million questions I want you to ask. I want to ask you, can you be my mentor? Can I call you tomorrow with more questions? Can I send you 3 emails? Can I drive you crazy to the point where you never want to hear from me again? You bet. So Taxi teaches stuff like the etiquette of the industry. What to do if you get contacted. How do you respond in a way that they'll go, I like working with that person. They're solid, they're reliable, they deliver stuff on time. If they ask me a question, it's in a single sentence or a single question. They just don't drive me crazy. So there you go. And finally, the road rally. I know, oh my God, I got to get on an airplane and fly to Los Angeles. I'm going to walk into a hotel with a couple thousand people I don't know, and they're going to be wearing leather pants with metal studs on them and have tattoos and cigarettes rolled up in their T-shirts, and they're going to be all gross and musician-y. I don't want to be in that atmosphere. It's nothing like that. Look at the people on your screen right now. Those are the people that come to the road rally. And once again, I didn't make it this way. It just turned out this way. Our members are so unbelievably nice and helpful to each other that our so-called senior members that have been around for a long time and are making great incomes, you could walk up to them. You'll see who they are. Some of them may be on stage. Some of them you'll hear about through other members. Walk up to them at the bar and say, "Hi, my name's Tim. I heard that you've been quite successful, blah, blah, blah." And they will start talking to you. And if you don't act like a scary person or a stalker, they'll really engage with you and give you some valuable advice. I hear that every year from people. I also hear from spouses of taxi members. People want to come to the road rally. My wife will shoot me if I go to LA for 3.5 days and don't bring her. Great, bring your wife and go to Disneyland afterwards. Bring the kids, go to Disneyland afterwards. But don't fear that your spouse is going to hate the road rally. We've had non-musical spouses, whether they're female or male, come with their musical spouse to the road rally, and they come up at the end of the weekend and hug me and go, "Oh my gosh, I thought this was going to be the most boring thing in the world. I think I enjoyed it more than my spouse did." So trust me, the road rally, I've always said to people, if you come to the road rally and it's not everything that I told you it'd be, come and see me and I'll reimburse you for your plane flight. I've only had one guy in 25 previous road rallies ever ask for that, and I think it was a plan before he ever got on the airplane. Okay. Can I submit songs? Oh, by the way, I didn't mention, tons of deals. As many taxi members get signed because of their presence at the road rally as get signed pitching through the taxi listings. The reason being, they meet other members. "Oh, you play accordion? I don't. I want to do a bunch of French cafe music, but I need somebody to do accordion. I can play the violin." And they become partners on several compositions. And the first person that plays violin already has an established relationship with a publisher. Now the brand new member that plays accordion gets to ride the coattails in to that relationship, and now they can pitch their music excuse me, to that publisher. Excuse me one second. My wife says I'm too chatty. She may be right. My throat's getting dry. All right. Can I submit songs not written by me for a friend? It's problematic. There are legal reasons. The most obvious being we forwarded something once to a music supervisor. Somebody was being nice to a friend. "Oh, my friend's got the perfect piece of music. I'm going to send it in under my membership." Well, your name and your member number and all your details go along with that forward when we send it to the person in the industry. The music supervisor called the actual taxi member and said, "Hey, I love your song, Mary Had a Little Lamb. I'd like to use it in this blockbuster movie." Lo and behold, the person goes, oh, that's not mine. I sent that in for a friend." "Oh, so do you have legal representation of your friend's music?" "No, but he said it was cool that I could send it in for him under my membership." "Really? Okay, well, I can see that you don't play by the rules of the industry. You're not acting like a real business professional, so thank you very much. Bye-bye." Relationship over, blacklisted in that supervisor's mind forever. Can I submit material that I didn't write but I did produce? So many people have awesome home studios now, and they do projects for other people. And they go, "Wow, this would be perfect. I saw a taxi listing that this would be a slam dunk for. Can I send it in?" Is your name on the copyright? Nope. Do you have any actual legal, ability to submit that music? No. But I worked on it. I engineered it. I produced it. I played keyboards on it. I sang the vocal. Those things do not give you the right to submit music. So just submit anything that you've written or co-written, and you're good. How many submissions does Taxi get for each listing? People always want to know that. Doesn't really matter. Could be we run a thing for death metal, and we may only get 27 submissions for that because not that many members make death metal. Could be we run a listing for country songs about a broken heart. Everybody thinks they've got one. We get 862 submissions. We once ran a listing for percussion instrumentals, like those cool car commercial percussion things. It's just nothing but percussion. Anybody can make those. So everybody and his brother pitched. We got in 800 and change of those submissions, which is a lot. But the rule of thumb is anything that gets forwarded has to match what the listing actually requested stylistically and has to be over the quality bar. We found that 40% of the stuff that was submitted was over the quality bar and matched what the listing asked for. So now we had 300 and some odd percussion cues. Who really working in the music industry wants to get an email with a folder attached with 300 cues? If each one of those, let's do a little math here. If each one of those cues is an average of 90 seconds long, so 90 seconds times 320, that is 28,800 seconds divided by 60. That's 480 minutes or 480 hours. I'm not sure. It's 480 somethings. Now you see why I'm in the music business. Not so good at math. Anyway, all to say, nobody wants to hear that much music. Nobody's got enough time to listen to all that stuff. So we're a little freaked out. How are we going to, we can't take people out of there just because we chose to, because we didn't want to freak out our industry contact. So instead of doing anything that would be unfair to a taxi member, we called up our industry person and said, you are not going to believe how much great music we found for you. Even we were shocked that we found 320 things that were amazingly good, but we know that would overwhelm you. How about if we send you like 50 of them every other day until you've gone through them all? Great idea. So that's what we did. Everybody won. Am I competing with other taxi members? No. Because we don't listen to submission 99 and go, oh, that was much better than submission number 2. Each submission is judged in that moment by an objective expert in that genre at Taxi. Well, I was going to say at our office. Now they're working remotely since COVID. And they're listening to it going, is it over the quality bar and is it on target stylistically? And if it is, it gets forwarded. There's never a comparison where we say, oh, that one's better than that one I heard a half an hour ago. First of all, the time it would take to go back and find that one or remember which one it was that you heard a half an hour ago and go back and do a comparison. Nope, it's over the bar, it's stylistically on target, it goes in the forward bucket. What percentage of submissions are forwarded? Fair question. There is no prescription for that. Let's go back to heavy metal. So we get 27 heavy metal things in. People generally don't try and fake it with heavy metal. You're either a metalhead or you're not, right? You're not like a country person that's going to, oh, I think I can do some heavy metal and send it in. People just don't do that. So we got 27 submissions for heavy metal. Lo and behold, 19 of those songs kicked ass because these are all real dedicated heavy metal people. So in that case, we got 19 out of 27, whatever that percentage that is. That's the percentage that got forwarded. Now, we may have a listing that asks for country songs, female vocal, about heartbreak, and we may get in 475 submissions. How many of those are going to be good enough that we could send them to somebody at a major label in Nashville to play for a huge artist? Very few. The bar is going to be super duper high for that, and it's got to be female, it's got to be heartbreak, it's got to sound like legit, authentic country, not fake country. So in that case, it's going to be a very small percentage. So all this is to say, it just depends. We never go, okay, well, we forwarded about 10% of those, let's stop listening now and not give everybody else a chance. If you're good and you're on target, you will get forwarded. We have no quotas, ever. I lied. About once a year. Maybe twice a year, sometimes never in a year. What happens? About once or twice a year, a new client will say to us, send me a small batch because we're just trying you out. So they'll say, send us 5. So in those rare cases, which are really rare, I mean, literally, I think it's happened maybe 10 times in 30 years. In those cases, we may be limited to the number of forwards. Let's see. What's the A&R team looking for when listening to submissions? I already told you, they're not looking for the most brilliant person, although you can be brilliant and get it right. They're looking for what the company asked for and is good enough that any one of us could walk it in, put it on the vice president of A&R's desk, put it on a movie director's desk, give it to a TV producer, give it to a music supervisor, and say, here you go. If you would walk it in with your face and put it on his or her desk and say, I found what you're looking for, that's the same way we feel, because we risk blowing a relationship that brings opportunity to our members every time we forward something. So if we go, I personally really, really like this. It's not quite good enough, but there's something really vibey and cool about it. I'm going to send it anyway. We can get away with that on very rare occasions with people that we've known for a very long time and trust us. If we include a little note and say, look, I found something. It's not quite ready to go. It's not what you're really looking for, but I've known you for 15 years, and this is kind of cool. I think you personally would enjoy it. Maybe someday you'll have an opportunity, so I'm slipping this one in. We can do that every now and then, and I'm talking like a handful of times a year. We can't do that with every listing. So again, good enough to be over the bar, on target enough to give them what they're asking for. But aren't they looking for the best song or instrumental? No, they're looking for something that solves a problem for them, basically. I've got a problem. I've got a scene with a husband and a wife having dinner in a fancy restaurant, and the wife is about to drop a bomb on the guy and say, I know it's our anniversary, however, I'm in love with somebody else and I want a divorce. What kind of music is going to be playing in that scene? Well, it could be a big dramatic score, but more than likely it's going to be cocktail piano playing in the background somewhere, right? Maybe a string quartet. It's going to be just background restaurant-y music. So are they looking for the most brilliant composer that could, are they looking for Tchaikovsky? No, they're not looking for Tchaikovsky. They're looking for somebody that has an authentic piece of music that sounds like it would be getting played in the back of that restaurant. That's all they need. And you're going to get paid because you've got it. So it's not about being brilliant. It's about being what they need. Give them what they need. How much does a screener's personal taste have to do with whether a submission is forwarded or not? What if they're in a bad mood? What if they didn't drink enough coffee yet? What if they had a fight with their spouse before they came to work that day? Well, we solved that problem 30 years ago by giving every brand new screener the instruction that says, if you're having a bad day and you feel like you've got an attitude problem, or you didn't get enough sleep, or you didn't drink enough coffee, or you had a fight with your spouse before you put your headphones on, don't screen today. We will save that work for you tomorrow. They're all independent contractors. They've been heavily vetted by us. They've been trained by us on how to communicate with musicians rather than going, dude, this ain't working. Why isn't it working? What can they do to make it better next time? So that's the training. They've already got the expertise, but we teach them how to talk to you, I guess is probably the best way to say it. And they know that if when they log in at 9:30 on a Wednesday morning and they're just like, I am so not into this today, all they have to do is reach out to Tom, who runs our A&R department, or Eric, the person who schedules them, and say, not feeling it. I'm not going to do good work today. Can I do it tomorrow instead? Yes, you can. So they know they're not going to lose the income. And we know that our members are not going to get a result from somebody that didn't have enough caffeine that morning. Why don't screeners forward music that's pretty close? Put yourself in the chair. You're a music supervisor working on a big Hollywood blockbuster, and people are sending you music that's like, that's not bad. Do you want to spend your time listening to not bad, or do you want to listen to music where you go, holy crap, that's so perfect for this scene? So that's why we can't send them stuff that's kind of close. It's pretty good. People always say, why don't you send them pretty good and let them decide if it's pretty good or not? So I have an open invitation for anybody that feels like they got cheated by taxi screeners. Go on our forum, post all the verbiage from the listing, post a link to where they can hear your music, and post the full critique from the taxi screener, and then ask your fellow members online, did the screener get it right, or did the screener not get it right? And like 98% of the time, the consensus will be from your fellow members, the screener absolutely got it right. And by the way, I would have also said blah, blah, blah. So I feel pretty confident. We're not afraid to put ourselves out there and put our neck on the chopping block in the public forum, because I hate to say that I'm cocky about it, but I am pretty sure that our members or screeners are getting it right. We've had 30 years to train them properly. And like I said, we're really picky about most people that test to be a screener at Taxi, no matter what their resume says, don't get the job. And by the way, while we're on the subject of screeners and resumes, do you know that if we have somebody that screens country hits for Nashville, we won't put them on country for a TV show? You know why? Because in Nashville, songs are all about visual detail and specifics. They call it putting furniture in the room. I walked in, I could smell the cigarette smoke and last night's beer when I entered the dark, dusky room. You create a visual image in a country song. Can't do that for film and TV. Why? Because there's already a visual image. Can't use a song about walking into a room that smells like beer and cigarettes and is dimly lit if it's a guy and a girl falling in love on a hike out in Gatlinburg. I only said that for your sake, Ari. She was just in Gatlinburg last weekend ziplining. So it may be a great country song, but if the lyric is too detailed, you can't use it in a scene. Instead, you want to talk about she became the love of my life. That's a general lyric. That's a universal lyric that could be used in lots of scenes. I walked into the room that smelled like cigarette smoke and last night's beer and had, peanut shells on the floor. There aren't as many scenes for that because it's very specific and very visually detailed. Why do I get two different critiques of the same song from two different screeners? Probably because it's two different listings. And even though they are both for country female, one of them's country female, up-tempo, emotionally upbeat, positive, and the other one is about heartbreak. Yeah, but I got forwarded for that one, but they didn't forward the same song for the other one. Well, that's because it wasn't right for that one. It should be obvious, but people just go like, dude, can't you people at Taxi ever get anything right? We do. Couldn't you pitch it a little better? In what order are the submissions listened to? Totally random. How it works is the screeners get their assignment, I think 48 hours before, from a gentleman in our A&R department. Are you available to screen country songs for 4 hours? And we limit them to 4 hours because after 4 hours you start getting cranky. So are you available to screen country music for records Wednesday morning starting at 9:30? Yes, I am. They sit down, they put on their headphones, they log into their account, a screen pops up, and bingo, the first song pops up on the screen. They hit the play button and they start screening. The computer randomly pulls stuff out of the bucket. So it could be that the 13th to the last thing submitted is the second thing played. It could be that the first thing played was the 19th submitted. So in other words, getting your music in early doesn't give you any sort of advantage over anybody else. Totally random. If a screener doesn't forward my submission and makes a suggestion to fix something, why can't I fix it and resubmit it for that same listing? Okay, great. Go ahead. Fix that guitar part that sounds really pitchy. Send it back in. Oh man, I broke a string and I tried to stop at the music store on my way home from work last night, but Guitar Center was closed. Can I send it another day later? Now imagine if we gave that much leash to, like 12 members on a particular listing that wanted to fix something and send it in. Or I'll be more than happy to fix that synth pad right after I get that new Korg keyboard that I just ordered. It's coming any day now. Or I couldn't get my friend to remix it for me. So for those reasons, we've tried. It failed. It's either you nail it or you don't. But the good news is if the Taxi screener gives you a suggestion and right after you get done cursing them out, throwing darts at my picture, you listen to it again and go, that screener might have been right. And then you make that change, and lo and behold, a week later, 10 days later, 2 months later, another listing pops up. You submit it. Wow, it got forwarded. Why? Because you actually incorporated what the screener told you to do. How long will it take till I hear back on a Taxi submission? Typically about 3 weeks. We say a month. We try to get them out the door in 3 weeks. It depends. If we get 465 submissions, we're going to have to pull in 2, 3, 4 screeners on that. If we get 27 death metal songs, we can probably bang that out in a day. So there are a lot of factors that go into it, but we're very, very organized. We're very good at prognosticating how many screeners we're going to need for a particular listing. We can tell the first day we put the listing out there how many submissions come in. We can actually use kind of a formula that we developed. We can really kind of tell by feel. Okay, we got 112 submissions today. This one's going to top out at 300 because we know we got 112 on day one. We know we're going to get 150 on the last day. They're going to trickle in the middle while people are perfecting what they're going to send on the deadline day. So we're well prepared, we're well organized, and we get the stuff turned around pretty quickly. Could our main screener in that genre be the person we really, really want to use? Yeah. So do we pull in a substitute that's like 80% is good? No, we wait until we can get the 100%er. 100%er might be out on tour with somebody famous playing guitar, and they don't get back until Saturday, so we're going to wait till they get back so we've got the right screener on the listing. How long will it take for me to hear back if my song was forwarded? God only knows. The world record is 7 years. We actually had a member that got called 7 years after a forward. And the reason was there are a lot of people in the industry that will hear something and go, not right for what I need for this scene today, but you know what? I'm pulling it in the maybe someday I can use this bucket or file on their desktop. And they stick it in there, and lo and behold, years later, they're working on another movie, and they go, you know what? I've got a file of other country songs with female vocals. I remember there's some really good stuff in there. I'm going to go have a listen. And they check out that thing from Taxi. They pick up the phone. They call us and say, is Don Jones still a member? Yeah, he is. Well, can you reach out to him and ask him if this song is still available? It is? Great. Now it's going in a movie. 7 years is the record. Typically, you're going to hear something in a month or two. Sometimes you'll hear in a day or two. We do have cases where we've had a few cases, a few every month actually, where we send out the forward notice to the members and we send the music like within 10 minutes of each other. Sometimes the people in the industry will reach out to the member before they've opened the email where they saw that they got forwarded. So that's kind of cool. What are your members? Oops, I need a prop. I'll be back in 2 seconds. Oops. What do your members mean when they say write, submit, forget, repeat? They actually came up with this phrase. It's kind of like wash, rinse, and repeat. Write, submit, forget, and repeat. So what that means, they made these bumper stickers, brought them to the road rally, gave them out. It means that you shouldn't sit perched by your phone or check your email or your text inbox like every 5 minutes. The answer is going to come when it comes or not come when it doesn't come. And I know it's torture. I really, truly get it, that it's tough. It's like, man, I put so much work into that. Now I found out it's been forwarded. And in your mind's eye, you're thinking that there's some fat, bald record executive sitting in front of a wall full of gold and platinum records, smoking a big old stogie, going, all right, I can't wait till I get that music from Taxi, find my next star. That's only in the movies. It doesn't really happen that way. So it's going to happen when it happens. Sometimes they're needing to move really quickly to fill a slot in a TV show before they go to the mix stage on Thursday. Could happen really quickly. Other times it's going to be they're building up a stash of music in July because they know that in September they're going into post-production on a series that's going to start airing at the end of October. So they're just building up a stash, putting it in a bucket, knowing that in January when the director or the producer says, do you have a broken-hearted love song with a female vocal on it? They've already got a stash of that stuff. Meanwhile, you're getting tortured by the fact that your stuff was forwarded to a music supervisor. In your mind, they're waiting to hear it. It's awesome. I'm going to call you up and sign this thing and license it for that TV show right now. It rarely happens like that. It is a game of patience. Really, really, really got to be patient. What happens after my song gets signed by a production music library? Well, production music library is a film and TV specific publishing company. they're different than Warner Chappell or Sony ATV or the big publishers. Um, they fill orders all day long. Do you know one of the biggest ones in the industry told me that they do 1,000 licenses a day on a global basis? That's 1,000 times a day. Somebody reaches out and says, do you have this music? And they send them 10 things, 20 things, 30 things, and they go, okay, we'll take track number 17, fire me off a license. It's actually called a quote request. And then they do the paperwork and they license it for that show. So after your stuff is signed by a music library, it goes into a catalog. It's not like they go knocking on every door in Hollywood. I just signed this incredible love song from Johnny Jones, or I just found this amazing, quirky instrumental cue from Timothy Smith. No, they put it in the catalog, filed and meta-tagged. It's this kind of thing and it's this tempo. It would be good for this kind of pitch. And then a week later, a day later, 5 months later, 5 years later, 7 years later, they get emailed or phone called from somebody in the industry, says, do you have XYZ? And they go clickety-clack on their keyboard, show me all my XYZs. They pull up 16 things. They find the 5 that they think are right on the money. They send it over to the executive producer, the music supervisor. They've also gotten music from company A, company B, company C. They sit down, they audition all that stuff against picture. If you're lucky, your thing was the thing that amplified and enhanced the emotion or the vibe of the scene the best, and they pick it. And then you have a good day because you find out that your music's being used in an episode of a TV show and you're going to get money. Maybe you get a sync fee up front that you'll split with the publisher. You'll get back end from your performing rights organization, whether it's BMI, ASCAP, or CSAC. Everybody's happy. Do Taxi members have to be a member of a performing rights organization, a PRO? No, not right now. But if you're submitting music and somebody calls you and wants to license it, you should be signed with a PRO. So you might as well go ahead and sign up. Next question I get certainly from American members is ASCAP or BMI? That's like blonde, brunette, redhead, tall, short, medium. I don't know. Goldilocks, it's up to you. Some people like ASCAP better. Some people like BMI better. I know people at both companies, so politically I've got to be nice to both of them. But I will say in public that there are years where BMI might pay more per placement on the back end. And then there have been other periods where ASCAP's horse has pulled ahead and they've paid more. At the moment, it seems to be that BMI is paying more. And I only know that anecdotally because sometimes our members will co-write with somebody and they're 50-50 on a piece of music that lands in a TV show. The member that's an ASCAP member gets a check for X. The member that's a BMI member gets a check next quarter for the same piece of music, same TV show. They're a co-writer, and theirs is like X plus 25% more. And then the ASCAP member's like, I can't believe it. ASCAP, underpaying me. And the BMI member's going, should have joined BMI. But those things toggle. Some years it goes the other way. So I don't know. Blonde, brunette, short, tall, redhead, skinny, fat. Don't know. What is broadcast quality? Broadcast quality is different things in different contexts. Bob Dylan, acoustic guitar. It's broadcast quality. Doesn't matter that the guitar sounds like the same strings that he got when he bought the thing 30 years ago from the factory. Doesn't matter you can't understand, he mumbles a lot. Tom Waits always sounds like he, smoked a pack of cigarettes and gargled with gravel before he sang his vocals. In the context of the kind of music they make, that's broadcast quality. An Ariana Grande pop record, if you're trying to pitch that kind of music for a TV show or a movie, it's got to sound like slick, well-recorded, super well-produced pop. So it's very contextual. If you are doing instrumental cues, like orchestral instrumental cues that would work well for film trailers, big bombastic stuff with sound design elements in there and taiko drums and choir and lots of strings, it's got to sound like that stuff should sound. That's broadcast quality. So it doesn't always mean that every single thing you submit has to sound pristine and spectacularly recorded. It's really not so much about the audio or your engineering chops. I mean, you can make a bad recording and it won't be broadcast quality. You could have a spectacularly recorded, spectacularly produced thing with a vocalist that just sounds a little wimpy and not really appropriate for the style of music, or is maybe a little pitchy. All of a sudden, it's no longer broadcast quality. The track is broadcast quality, but the overall thing gets killed by a vocal that's like not really broadcast quality. So broadcast quality in the end means, is it good enough that it should be broadcast? Doesn't have to be as good as an Ariana Grande record necessarily, unless you're pitching to record stuff. And nowadays, it used to be, oh, I got another thing I want to add here. Used to be you could do a demo, guitar vocal demo, piano vocal demo, send it in. Somebody'd say, that's the best song I've ever heard. Pitch it to an artist they're working with. Your song gets cut. You make a boatload of money. If it's a hit, yay you. Then everybody got Pro Tools or Logic or Cubase or whatever, and everybody's a producer now. It raised the bar. But I will tell you that we do have a fair number of people that actually will run a listing with Taxi where they say, I will take a stripped down piano vocal demo, or I will take a stripped down guitar vocal demo. So read the listings carefully, because if that's the nature of what you do, those opportunities exist. Some people want to hear it stripped down. They don't want to hear a fully developed track because they want to get a little mental attachment on their own. Hear the song, go, oh yeah, I can hear how this would be perfect if I did X, Y, or Z to this track. So they want to have a little emotional ownership, if you will, and they want it stripped down. Fastest way to become successful at Taxi, instrumental cues. Trying to get a song cut that's going to be a hit with a major artist, it's really hard. The odds are so against you. They are. It's happened. We've had a few songs get cut by, Taxi member songs get cut that went on platinum records, that went to #1, and we've got 2 members I can think of, actually 4, that became multimillionaires because they got a song cut. One was a Kenny Rogers cut. One was Jesse McCartney. What was that song, Ari? Jesse, Beautiful Soul. Look at that. I'm old and forgetful, but I remembered that one. Beautiful Soul by Jesse McCartney. A couple of Taxi members got heard by Carole King's daughter, who was Jesse McCartney's manager or producer at the time. And she'd called me personally, and she said, heard this song from a couple of your members. Not the right song for this artist, but he loves the style of what they wrote, and he loves their production chops. Does he have anything else? Or do they have anything else? They sent over Beautiful Soul and one other song. Both those songs with their tracks, but Jesse's vocal made it onto Jesse's record. Top 10 hit, I think actually a top 5 hit. Because of that, those 2 Taxi members ended up getting deals with Disney Music Publishing. Because they had those deals, their songs went into High School Musical 1, High School Musical 2, High School Musical 3. Those movies were giant blockbusters. The CDs sold millions. Those guys both became multimillionaires from that in about a year and a half. And then, because they were signed to Disney Music Publishing, they got a call. Can we have more music for you for Camp Rock 1 and Camp Rock 2 and Camp Rock 3? Those guys cleaned up, all because of one connection through Taxi. So it does happen. But instrumental cues. The average reality show uses 85 to 100 instrumental cues. So the odds of you getting something picked up for one of those statistically are much higher, just because there's so many more slots to fill. Are you going to become a multimillionaire because you had what I affectionately call a stupid little instrumental cue in an episode of the Kardashians? No. Are you going to make $12.15? Probably. Are you going to make $6.09? Maybe. Are you going to make $108.45? Could very well be. But then that show circulates, does reruns all over the globe for the next 5 years, and you're making money all the time. Mailbox money just keeps coming in. So now if you can repeat that scenario by getting 500 tunes out there in various catalogs, or 1,000 tunes, or 1,500 tunes, all of a sudden it becomes cumulative, and your mailbox money starts becoming, like $5,000 a quarter, $25,000 a quarter. That's how it happens. It never happens overnight. It's never one thing that goes boom and explodes. It's cumulative. And it works. And you know what? By doing what I affectionately call stupid little instrumental cues by day, you're going to learn how to be really fast on your DAW. You're going to learn how to build templates that you can go back to time and time again so you don't piss away your time auditioning sounds, looking for the perfect kick drum or bass drum. And all that stuff is going to make you a faster, better composer slash writer, so that when you want to work at night on your grand opus, on your hit record or your hit song, you have been getting paid during the day. It's like, you know what? It's like painting houses by day, still using a brush, still mixing colors, still have brush, stroke techniques, and then you paint your portraiture masterpieces at night. So one serves the other's purpose really well. Let's see. Oh, what's a developmental arc? A developmental arc, this is in the context of instrumental cues. It starts out, there's no 30-second intro. Hang on, I have a prop. Okay. Starts out, sorry. Starts out down here. It's little, it builds, There's an edit point where an editor can chop it and only use a section. They never use the whole cue. That's like a once in a lifetime event that they would use an entire cue. Instead, they would go, okay, I like the middle part and I only need 9 seconds, so I'm going to grab it from here in the middle and I'm going to put that in, because the video editor working on reality shows is the person who makes those music choices and does the editing of the music and places it. So right here, they can tell, all right, I can tell because there's not a 35-second intro where this cue is going to go musically. And here it develops more, and here it develops even more, and here it develops more, and then we've got a buttoned or a stinger ending. You'll see that in our listings all the time. That means rather than a fade, because you can't edit a fade because it's fading, but you can have a door slam when Kim Kardashian can't get the milk cap on the carton right because she just got her nails painted, and she's pissed off and she walks out of the kitchen, slams the door, and the music goes whamp. That's a stinger ending. If it's a string quartet, that's a buttoned ending. They're essentially the same thing. One is a period, one is an exclamation point. So there you go. Now you know what a developmental arc is. It means that it's basically an A section. An instrumental cue is not the same as a song. It doesn't have a 35-second intro. It doesn't have verse 1. Doesn't have a B verse or a pre-chorus. Instead, it's just one thing all the way through, which is usually kind of chorus equivalent. And then maybe for the middle 8 or the middle 4, it goes to a B section just to give the editor a little variation where you do, maybe flip the chords around. But it gets its sense of forward momentum by, you start out with bass drums and guitar, then you add a keyboard and it grows a little bit, then you bring in an acoustic guitar, now you've got another layer, it's gotten a little bigger, and then you drop it back down to just bass drums and acoustic guitar and do that for 4 measures. Then you build it back up, add the electric guitar, bring the keyboard back in, you build it, drop it back down again, and then at the end you build, boom, and there's your big stinger ending, exclamation point at the end. So now you know everything you need to know about developmental arcs and edit points. That's it. And now it's your turn to ask me any question you want, and you will get an honest answer or an admission that I don't know the answer. Let's have some fun.
All right, so if you guys want to just start by in the bottom right-hand corner of your Zoom screen, there's a little reactions button. It looks like a smiley face with a plus sign at the top.
I'm going to go make my room a little cooler while you guys are doing that. I'll be back in 10 seconds.
Okay, cool. You guys can just click the raise your hand icon and we'll just go in order of whoever does that. And if you don't want to speak, when we call on you, you're welcome to just put your question inside of the chat box and I can read it out for you. Okay, well, no one's raising their hands, but we do have some questions. In the...
Come on, don't be a chicken, damn it, raise your hand.
Okay, here we go. Well, Bill, do you want to, I think you are unmuted if you want to go ahead and ask your question.
Sure. Okay. Well, first of all, thanks for all the great information. It was really good. So I do have a question.
Sure.
Um, I've got a lot of tracks that I want to submit, but they're all pending copyright registration. So,
Doesn't matter. Here's why.
okay.
Are you talking instrumental tracks?
Yeah, well, half of them are instrumental and a couple of them have lyrics. A few
Okay.
with lyrics, mostly instrumental.
I've been in the industry, believe it or not, for just about 50 years. Not once have I ever met anybody who had a 90-second or 60-second or 2-minute long instrumental cue stolen from them. Nobody's going to bother stealing it because that cue on its own is never going to generate enough money in its lifetime to make it worth risking your reputation in a lawsuit to steal it. So I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. It's for entertainment purposes only. I'm not telling you you shouldn't register your stuff with the Copyright Office, but I will tell you that our most professional, most highly experienced members who are making instrumental cues don't register their instrumental cues with the Copyright Office, and here's why. Because the library that signs it is going to do the registration. So if you've already gone to the expense, time, and trouble of registering it, the publisher is just going to go, oh, man, now I got to redo this registration. I got to file for a change of registration or whatever. So for instrumental cues, again, I'm not a lawyer and I'm not giving you this advice. I'm only being really entertaining. Our other members don't do it. If you're writing songs to pitch to major artists, those are stealable.
Yeah.
If you're going to pitch stuff to, Ariana Grande, my favorite reference artist, register those copyrights.
Right. Okay. Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome. I just saved you a bunch of money. Send me a check.
All right. $45 a pop.
I know it's ridiculously expensive to register an instrumental cue that will probably earn you $45 in its first year if you're lucky. All right. Thanks for that question. It was a good one.
Well, thank you, Bill. So now we have Mike Evans. If you want to unmute and go ahead and ask your question.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Michael, and Ari. Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks. Yeah, I just signed up this past week and submitted my first one, and I realized how to submit it by going through the process. And one of the questions I have is, once I upload that file, it allows me to edit it. Once I upload it and then I submit it for a listing on Taxi, it allows me, like, I can go back in and upload another file for the same thing, right?
Correct.
So when I sent the listing, are they going to see the first file that was when I submitted it? Are they going to see the first file? They're going to see that file that's on there now.
You mean, do you ultimately want to submit both pieces of music or just one?
It's the same piece of music.
Oh, I see. So like a new version of the same piece.
Yeah.
So what you should do, if it's after the deadline date has passed for the listing, and they usually start screening on the deadline or the day after, with rare exceptions, they'll start the day before. You don't want to, I can't think of the way to phrase this correctly, but the bottom line is, don't change the horse in the middle of the stream. If the deadline is passed, they may have already heard it in the first hour of screening on day number one. If you submitted it 3 days before the deadline and you decide you want to change it 2 days before the deadline, that's okay. It's a little risky to change it the day of the deadline because they've probably started screening. Ari, you've probably had more experience answering this question, and I could be a little bit wrong. Ari used to do member services years ago for us, so take that one.
So Mike, so kind of echoing what Michael said, is that if you want, regardless, probably the easiest way is just to call our office. I can put the number again in the chat, but if you call us during business hours, we can ask the A&R team to look in the system and see if they've already screened your specific piece that you submitted to the listing. And if they haven't, then you're welcome to go in, click edit on the song that you want to upload a new version of, and then it'll automatically update in the system with the listing you already submitted to. So that's probably your safest bet, but obviously if the deadline hasn't passed yet, there's no way they've started screening it. So then go ahead and just, you can click edit and upload your newest version.
And then delete your other one, right?
No. So if you just edit, like if you submit version A and you click edit on it and you re-upload version B, it's going to auto update in the system. So you don't have to delete anything in that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit of a, yeah, it's a tricky thing. I can imagine. I imagine though, like once they listen to it, they're going to give you your review possibly, right? But no, it's not, it might not line up. This all happened so quickly because I just signed up and I saw this listing that was due soon. So I did it. And then I watched the video you send to all new members on the Zoom TV. And sorry, my lights just went out there. My screen from my computer was lighting this. Anyhow, so then I made a couple changes with some of the things I heard from you all. But yeah, that's definitely helps me out. I will not change it after I've submitted from now on, unless I find out that I can.
Yeah, cool. But a lot of the times, you know, there is some, if it's pretty close to after the deadline the listing closed, there is a chance that they haven't started yet, or maybe they started screening but haven't gotten to your piece. So it's always worth it to call, especially if you really want to submit a better version of it, you know, because you'll get feedback on that one, whichever one.
Yeah, and just whoever answers the phone, say, hi, I'm a member, my name is Mike, and or my last name, here's my member number. I submitted a song, Roll Over Beethoven. I've got a newer version. Has that been screened or not? Just be succinct in what you ask them, and you'll have your problem solved in like a minute.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for the question.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, cool. So Alex Worms, if you want to.
Hi, I'm from Toronto, Ontario. Thank you for this, by the way. I'm just about to upload my first song and I'm looking at the form here. And I just wondered if there was like a preferred format, if is it important for whatever I upload to have all the metadata embedded in the file? And when you check off like public downloadable featured on your artist page, like are there any, like is it important to do all of those? So that's really like 3 questions in one, but yeah.
I can take one of them and I'll have Ari take the other one. So the last thing you asked about public and downloadable. Downloadable, yeah, if you want other people to be able to download your music and appreciate it, yeah. I personally wouldn't make that choice, but I would make the choice that it's public. And the reason that I want it public is because Taxi sometimes wants to feature members' music on an episode of TAXITV or other scenarios like that. And if it's not public, we won't go to the trouble of reaching out to you most of the time saying, we really want to include this in one of our episodes. Can you make it public now? Some people are paranoid or worried. I don't want to cast any aspersions. Some people are worried that if their music is public, that people are going to hear it and steal it. Again, the company's been around for almost 31 years. Do we get the occasional person that calls up and goes, I heard my song on the radio. You guys sent it to whoever and they cut it. Oh, look at that. You've never submitted it to Taxi. You're a member, but you've never submitted that song. So that would make it impossible for us to have sent it to anybody. And let's say you did submit the song, but you submitted it 9 months ago for a listing that has nothing to do with we've never sent it to that company. We've never sent it to that artist. So yes, could there be 2 songs that are similar? Yeah. So the public thing, I don't think is a risk. And I think there are more advantages than disadvantages. Now, Ariana can answer the other stuff.
Yeah, so okay, so the first one, correct me if I'm wrong, you were asking about like metadata, what's important to put within the song?
Yeah, like do you prefer, like there are different file format options, like is WAV or MP3 better? Is like what needs to be in the metadata of the file that we upload?
Yeah, so I mean, of course, there's like relatively small difference. Like a waveform is going to definitely have more like detail in the sound than an MP3, but our system, I believe it still only accepts MP3s. Just because
no, it converts. You can submit a WAV or an AIFF and it'll automatically convert it to a 320K, which is a high-res MP3. Reason being, the industry standard for moving music around is MP3. And some musicians are like, oh my gosh, MP3, that's like looking at a black and white photo. It's not as good as it sounds in waveform. Don't worry about that. If they want your music, they're going to call you up and say, okay, we heard it. Can you please send us a wave? So, but it's just so much easier to move it around when it's a small file. As far as the metadata goes, they absolutely want your name, your phone number, your email address, and the writer splits. Those are the most important things. They're going to upload it. If they decide to sign it, they're going to upload it into their catalog, their system, and they're going to augment the metadata by saying sounds like, or country rock, or whatever things that they'll want to search their system for to fill orders when they come in. So basically, they just need to know you're the writer or the co-writer. You're 50-50 with somebody. Here's my email address because I'm the person that controls the copyright and the master. Here's my phone number in case the internet goes down. There you go.
Another small thing is just, I know that when the A&R team puts together like the final batch of songs that are going to be sent to the music client, a good thing to do is, a lot of people have their artist names even like on this Zoom right now, which is good. But if you're going to put your artist name, make sure to put your taxi member name, that's hopefully your real name, on your account in the metadata as well, just because that can be confusing. So if someone reaches out and says, hey, I'm looking for Ari's song named this, okay, well, my real name is not just Ari. So make sure to include both if you're going to put your artist name. And in the notes too, it kind of helps to just put a few keywords that describe the piece, like, moody, tension, instrumental cue, something like that, because that will be transferred over. So
yeah, and Ariana's exactly right about it. We've just had an issue the other day with somebody wanted a piece of music from one of our members. They joined under Robert D. Jones and they submitted music under Snoopy Snoop or something. And lo and behold, hey, music supervisor called. I want that song by Snoopy Snoop, but yet they weren't anywhere in the database as Snoopy Snoop, only as Robert B. Jones. So use your real name all the way through for everything, all the time. And then, when your song gets licensed and it's going to go in a Steven Spielberg movie, let the person doing the credits know you want to be listed as Snoopy Snoop.
Thank you. And the downloadable thing, so there's no benefit to making the music downloadable?
There are times we do compilations, or there are times when the staff gets a call from music supervisor. I need something in a half an hour. We don't have time to run a listing, but somebody in the staff will go, remember that batch we forwarded last week of that type of music? There was some really good stuff in there that would work for this. Let's reach out to those members, take their music, put it on a compilation. Well, we can't do that without your permission, number one, and the ability to download your music. So that's the only time I can think when the download thing is a big plus. There are some members that are afraid to make it downloadable. Again, they're afraid somebody's going to take their song, steal it, put their name on it, and make a fortune with it. I don't personally think that happens very much. Isn't it funny how only rich people get sued for copyright infringement?
I mean, like, realistically, if a song is already on YouTube, on Spotify, people can hear it. If it's public and they can listen to it,
Right.
they can steal it anyway, right? So
Yeah.
I've kind of, with music, especially music that's already been released, it's getting, you can think of Spotify as kind of being almost stealing people's music anyway. Like, music is free, really, in a lot of ways now. So anyways, yeah, that was just my question. Like, I'm a little bit less worried about that now. I feel like if someone has downloaded one of my songs, maybe there's more chance that they'll look at my website or come to a show or something. So thank you so much.
I personally would hope that they steal my song and have a massive hit with it so that I could sue their pants off and let them do all the work and I get all the money.
Exactly. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
all right, cool. Thank you for that. Tej, I believe you're next if you want to unmute and go ahead and ask your question.
Hey there, pleasure to see you both. Reaching you out from Detroit to you tonight. I've been a performing songwriter for a few decades, and my question is, when we're producing songs for records, from the production standpoint, we're always trying to get fresh, new sounds. These days, we can pull from hundreds of different softwares where I can get sounds from all over the globe to kind of make ear candy.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, from what you're describing, it sounds like maybe for these things, they want you to just keep it very simple and not distract from the scenes. What would you say to the two different ways to approach
That's
this?
a really good observation on your part. Generally speaking, I have a rule that's like my own little personal rule. I'm not a composer, but I used to produce. And the rule I lived by then and I still subscribe to now is the 15% rule. If it sounds like everything else and stuff that happened last year or the year before that, it's not fresh, and they love to use the word fresh. But if you make it too fresh, then they go, oh, that's too different. I don't like it. So I guess a good analogy would be like a dramedy piece is normally like pizzicato strings. Dramedy music is what you would hear on, oh gosh, what was that show where the people were always going over the picket fence and looking in the neighbors' windows?
Oh, Real Housewives?
No, before that. It was a scripted show.
Wasn't there Desperate Housewives? I was like, there's
Desperate Housewives. Yep, you got the housewives right. So Desperate Housewives, you know, the neighbor goes over the picket fence and she's looking through the window and you hear doo 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 doo. It's all pizzicato strings. Everybody in the industry, film and TV industry, is really sick of pizzicato strings on dramedy cues. But they work really well, so they keep using them. But if you took pizzicato strings and mixed it with, you know, take a piece of felt and run it through your acoustic guitar strings, and then doubled the pizzicato strings with boop, 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 boop on the acoustic guitar, and then maybe added a little distortion to that. That's how I would make it different. So you're giving them kind of what they're used to and comfortable with. But if they listen to 5 pieces that had regular pizzy strings leading up to it, and then they got to yours, and it's just a little different and cooler, they might go, at least that's fresh. I'm going to use that one.
So it sounds like, I mean, that's pretty much what we try to do in the studio anyway. If we're doing a country song or if we're doing a pop song or whatever, there's something that people expect, but then we just try to maybe on the solo or something to give them something different. So it sounds like it's about the same. 15%.
Yeah. And film and TV, right, 15%, that's my personal magic number. In film and TV, if the audience goes, oh, that's cool because the song sounds like a hit, or, wonder what that was, you've just lost your spot in that movie because you've taken their mind, their attention away from the actor, the script, and the story.
So make it subtle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Different but subtle.
Awesome. Thank you, Teach. And next we have, I'm going to go by your artist name, Toughly Composer. Yeah, if you want to unmute.
Thank you. Yes, I just want to piggyback on the upload scenario. So I just want to be clear. So I do have metadata because I use Disco, and I do have metadata that's actually on my MP3. So what are you saying is that will that metadata be replaced by the one I type in the form before you send it off, or is that, or my metadata will remain on my MP3? Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Do you mind if I jump in, Michael?
Yeah,
No,
go
go
ahead.
for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our system combines the two. So it's always
Okay,
good
cool.
to, if you can, just make it consistent across the board, because really that metadata is only going to be used by our A&R team. And if it gets forwarded, it's going to go to the client. So it should be the same, because also when we look it up in the system, we want it to come up if we're looking like, you know, like the scenario that Michael mentioned, if we're trying to track down a person because someone wants your song for a deal. So
Okay. I guess, for example, because I put in my BMI and my first name, last name, you know, the producer name, and it's on my MP3. So whatever I type in the blanks, will that be, added to my already metadata?
the blanks where?
Okay,
On the
so I'm
taxi
just on the
submission
form. Yeah, so what I'm saying is the form asks about tags and asks about, there's a title, and I already have a title in my metadata
The
already.
taxi system.
Right.
Yeah, so what I guess roundabout way, would the taxi system override or change my metadata that's already embedded in my file? I know this sounds, or would it add to it?
No, I'm pretty positive it adds to it.
Okay.
Yeah, it does, because it doesn't alter the MP3 file, which is where the original metadata is embedded, but it actually adds to the file in our database.
Okay. Because I have a photo, like, I have to upload the photo again, but I have a photo. So just want to get really picky on that one. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good to know.
Yeah.
And it's great talking to you. I'm sorry, this is so awesome. Fan out. I didn't know if
Oh, I'm
just
telling
gonna
you,
fan out for a minute.
thank you for saying that.
I know. Oh my
we
God,
love
it's actually
doing
you.
this. We
It's actually
love
you.
doing this because, look, it's self-serve. First of all, people are generally nice. Musicians are maybe even nicer than the average person. But there's so many misconceptions out there that people just don't know. They've heard all these wives' tales and all this bad information passed around. And who made that person telling you, the authority on it? And so we feel like this is a way for people to get real, hands-on, true industry information that's going to change their life. Even if you don't renew next year, you're going to walk away with a great education. So it'll be well worth whatever you pay to join Taxi. But really, it's self-serving. We want you to succeed so we can go, look, that person succeeded. It sells more memberships. It makes us feel good when people succeed. We're like a dating service. If we make a match, somebody gets married, makes 10 babies, and has a great life, yay us.
Well, awesome. Thank you, Lisa.
All right, a couple more, and then we're going to call it a night.
All right, great. These are great questions. So, Blessed Ghost, if you want to go ahead and unmute.
Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
And I'm not sure if, all right, I'm a rapper and I also make beats. I make instrumentals. And I think I uploaded like 21 songs already on my profile. I have an artist bio that I created as well on my artist page.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I submitted like 10 songs already to one submission, one submission. It was an 80s, 90s
Right, hip-hop thing. I saw that one.
Yeah, it just came out.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing came out, I'm like, yo, that's me. So I uploaded like 10 songs to that one track, that one submission. And then I called you guys right after, like, hey, I just submitted 10 songs. I wanted to speak to Craig. I heard Craig was one of the top A&R guys. And they're like, Thomas was like, I don't think you can talk to Craig about that, but they have other A&R people who listens and screens your songs. I'm like, all right, so if I'm the first one to submit, is that a good look on my part? And you already answered that too during your little thing. He said, nah, man, you all get listened to evenly. So there's no maybe the first one.
I'm glad to hear Thomas got that right because he's new to the staff, so he already knows the answer to that. Good boy, Thomas.
Yeah. So then I was like, okay, so when do I get the call? It's like after the last day or on the 9th or something when the submit what do you call it? The submission
after the deadline is passed.
Deadline, yeah. So after the October 9th, that's the deadline, and it's a month after that, right? Where they contact me, right? And so he said every track they do a critique. And so he's like, if they like it, they'll still call you and let you know, or no, they forward it, right? Or they'll call you or give you an email or whatever. And then the person or the people who did a submission, they'll either call you or let you know they're playing it or they like your song. And also on that submission, it said, if they like you, they're signing you to do other opportunities, other soundtracks, whatever. But the question I have for you is, I joined Taxi under the impression that I can get a deal, get signed, as a rapper, not as a producer or
a composer. You can get signed as both. They're not mutually exclusive. And like I said, you can paint houses by day and paint portrait masterpieces at night. So if you've got 80s, 90s style rap, we've had like 3 listings pop up for that in the last week. So clearly somebody's working on a TV show that takes place somewhere around like 1988 through 1995, and they need a lot of music for background stuff there. So, and all these publishers are pitching whatever they can sign or find and sign to that. So they're using Taxi as the resource. Go for it, because it gives you credibility. You get something on that show and it gets you some attention. And at the same time, you're submitting to listings from record labels looking for rappers. It'd be nice to add to your resume, I had a song on this cop show, placed on the cop show. Do both. One doesn't hurt the other. It only helps.
I got you. Have you heard of the United Masters?
No.
Never heard of them. They're a distribution company. They, I guess, kind of like DistroKid, whatever. I'm signed with them. So they put my music on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. You know, they're like a distribution company.
Right.
So every time a song gets played, I get a fraction of a cent.
Right. I never thought I'd hear that in my 50 years in the industry. Every time my song gets played, I get a fraction of a cent, but that's where we're at today. But you know what? Fractions of pennies add up.
Right.
Get millions and millions of spins and go on a vacation or buy dinner.
Right. Well, does that conflict with Taxi?
No, as long as you haven't signed, if they have an option that says, would you like us to monetize your music by licensing it for film and TV? And you go, hell yeah, why not? If I can make more money, sure. And you click that box, you're signed to a publishing deal. You just
I just thought like with United Masters, there's no way. Okay, that's good to know then. Because I don't think they do publishing. They don't do publishing or none of that. They just get your music out.
Yeah, as long as you're sure that they're not asking for any of your publishing, you're fine. If it's just distribution to get it up on Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music, etc., you're cool.
Okay.
All right, next question. Thank you.
All right, that was great.
One more.
Okay, so we have R. Ellis next. If you want to go ahead and unmute and ask your question.
Howdy.
Hey,
Oh,
you're out walking. That's cool. I'm jealous.
Yeah, I'm out in the mountains right now, about 9,000 feet in elevation.
Nice. What state are you in?
Colorado. I'm in Florissant. It's a small town of like 3,000 people.
nice.
Very nice.
Via internet these days, I can do everything online.
Wow.
It's great. I love it. And I didn't know how long this meeting was going to go. I didn't have a question. I just wanted to say thank you and just wish everybody good luck because I have to go now. I have a gig. So,
well, that's very kind of you, and we're all a little jealous that you still got daylight and you're out there hiking at 9,000 feet. And,
well, yeah, that's where I live, in this little cabin here.
nice.
That's awesome.
Really nice.
Good internet.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's the 5 Wi-Fi routers we have going at the same time. But
Wow.
But yeah, no, be on the lookout. My name is Ellis Sidney with Ellis Sidney Music. And anyways, thank you for doing this. And I just signed on this week, so I'm excited to get started.
Great, Ellis. Thanks, man. Enjoy the rest of the walk.
Thank you all. Have a good one.
Me too.
All right. Anybody have one more short one?
We got a couple in the chat. Yeah, actually quite a few in the chat, but I'm going to go with
Let's take a couple because we're really long. We're like 12 minutes over already, and I see people dropping off.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, we answered that one. Do I bother registering instrumentals I've submitted with my PRO? Okay, we got to that too, I guess.
We got to the copyright off. Same thing, though, for instrumentals with your PRO. I wouldn't register them. Again, not legal advice. This is only advice I've heard from very successful taxi members. They don't bother registering. They join the PRO and they have an account, but they wait to see if a library picks it up. The library is going to register it because now they get 100% of the publisher's share. You'll most likely, in almost every case, keep 100% of the writer's share. So basically, you're 50-50 partners, but they do the dirty work of registering it. So some people do, and then they have to amend the registration. Other people just say, screw it. I know the library is going to register it, so be it. All right, one more, and we be out.
Okay, this is from Mike Evans. That box you check to monetize a piece of music only pertains to that one piece of music, right?
Correct. Yeah, just because you check that box for one piece of music doesn't entitle them to be the publisher on your entire catalog.
And we have one more from Alex Worms. Do the screeners listen to the whole song?
The screeners not only, I mean, we honestly require them, the rule of thumb is listen as far as the bridge. That way you've heard all the elements. Now, obviously, for an instrumental, it's 90 seconds long. It's going to go from beginning to end before they even finish typing out their critique comments. And a lot of times, I know because I used to be a screener in the early days of Taxi, and I still obviously talk to screeners all the time, as soon as they hear music, they think, oh, that intro's a little too long. Tighten up the intro. Or it doesn't fit the style. Check that box. But then they'll go back. If they hear something like, I don't know that I would have used a saxophone in the middle eight. So they're going to go back and go, I just checked out the middle eight. Saxophone doesn't feel like the right instrument for that. I would have tried a clavinet or whatever. So it's not uncommon that they go back and actually check out sections where they're commenting about to delve even a little deeper. So yeah, they don't listen to 10 seconds ago, this sucks, I'm not forwarding it. That's I think that the root of this question. All right, you guys, you've been a great audience. And once again, I can't thank you enough for your time, for showing up for this. I know it's not short. You know, it's like everybody wants everything in a minute or two nowadays. This was definitely not a minute or two. But I hope you've learned a lot. And I hope that whether you stick with Taxi or you don't, that you've learned stuff tonight that will help your career in general. Once again, I really want to encourage you. I know it seems like a big deal to get on a plane, come to Los Angeles, walk into a hotel with a couple thousand people. I'm going to feel like a wallflower. I'm going to feel out of place. I'm not going to know anybody. I can tell you from 25 previous years of doing this, at the end of the weekend, you're going to want to come up and give me a hug and say, thank you for pushing me to do this, because people do that. There's one Taxi member I'm thinking of right now. The guy's a curmudgeon. He's a hermit. He lives out in the boonies. He does not like commingling with other human beings at all. The guy stopped in my office one day when he was driving back to Central California, and I looked at him and I said, I can tell you're a curmudgeon. I know that you don't like, that sort of thing. Just trust me. If you have any sense of me telling you the truth, just come. He had such a great time, and now he would never miss a Taxi Road Rally again, ever in his lifetime. Everybody seems to make friends. There is no like, oh, I'm much better than you, or I'm a more experienced member. It's freakishly friendly. We had one guy standing in the registration line. So happens that a publisher was standing in the wrong line. Thought he had to be in the long line where he got to go in like, I'm an industry VIP, I can go in the short line. He didn't do that. And the member ended up signing like 110 or 112 pieces of music to his publisher because they were standing next to each other for 2 hours in this long-ass line. So just come to the Road Rally, November 3rd through the 6th, Los Angeles. Trust me. Please trust me. It is life-changing. People use that phrase all the time. Right, Ari? Life-changing.
Yes, it's awesome. It's a fun time, good place to network, all the things.
Yep. All right, you guys, have a great night. Thank you very much. See you at the Road Rally in 6 weeks.
Thanks very much. See you.
Well,
Okay,
thank you, guys.
thanks.
Good night.
Bye.
You guys.
Good night.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Bye.